over our we'll be over games this week. There's really only two that I would say.
Yeah, we
Um,
kind of got screwed on a
yeah,
big games.
there's not a whole lot. Yeah, there's not a whole lot on the meat of this schedule. We do got I would say three good games. No, I lied. Four. We have four good games that I want to talk about. And then we're gonna. But first, before we go into all that, we're gonna go over our college football playoff rankings, our own personal ones. This probably isn't gonna mirror the AP. It's not probably not gonna mirror what they're gonna come out with next week. But I just kind of wanted to see where Justin was at with his rankings, who he has ranked where, who he kind of has in right now. The way I personally did mine was I picked who I thought the conference would be, um, and then who I thought would get in after that is kind of how I tried to do mine personally. But Justin, who is your? Let's just get into yours first. Who do you kind of have leading the pack?
Mason, you're kind of breaking out a little bit. I don't know if it's on my end or if it's on your end. I don't really know what's going on. I can understand what you're saying. It's just you're blanking out. Do you want me to
Um,
start at the top or do you want me to start at the bottom?
at the top, who do you in the SEC? Or however you have your rankings kind of done.
Yeah, so it's kind of funky. So I was really in between like do I want to do how I would rank the teams right now going into the playoffs or do I kind of want to look at it like do I want to rank the teams how I think it's going to be at the end of the season? Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'll kind of go with my top five, and then I'll kind of go on from there. But I feel like I feel like there's three teams that are kind of above everybody. I feel like there's three teams, and then kind of everybody else. My three teams at the top would be Ohio State, Indiana, and Texas A&M. Those would probably be my top three teams. I feel like one and two or two and three are interchangeable. If you said Ohio State, Texas A&M, Indiana, or if you said Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, like I'm not going to argue that. I feel like Indiana is probably a more complete team than Texas A&M. Texas A&M has had defensive struggles. Their offense is like best show on turf, but their defense has had struggles. Indiana really hasn't shown those type of struggles. Not to the severity that Texas A&M has. The only reason I have Ohio State one, I mean, yes, I'm a fan, but what a lot of people don't understand is Ohio State. Okay, for example, like their defense, and don't hold me exactly to these numbers, but they're close enough to like I'll tell you. Their defense has played like I think it's like 298 snaps on the defensive side of the ball. For example, like if you take that and put that up against like a Tennessee's played like 680 snaps. So it's like in
Mm-hmm.
turn, Ohio State's defense has played a quarter to like one third of the games as pretty much everybody else in the country. So you have to ask yourself, like, is Ryan Day kind of a step above what everybody else is kind of saying that he is? Everybody's like, open your offense up, do this, do that. Like, we want to see more, but it's like when you're beating teams and you're covering the spread like you're supposed to, how much more do you want them to open it up? So my top three are Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M. Then it kind of goes into this cluster of teams. And in that cluster of teams, I would put Alabama, Georgia, Oregon, Ole Miss, and probably Georgia Tech. I would go ahead and throw Georgia Tech in there because they embody Haynes King, and Haynes King is not going to quit until he like probably dies on the field. I mean, honestly, I think they're good, and it's not that I think they're more talented than any of those four or five teams I listed. I think it's just they know what type of football they want to play, and they slow the game down where it benefits them. If I had to rank those teams, I would probably go Alabama at 4, Oregon at 5, um, Oregon at 5, um, Georgia at 6, Ole Miss no, or Georgia at 6, Georgia Tech at 7, and then Ole Miss at 8. That's kind of how I would have those. I really like Georgia Tech, and I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's way too high. Ole Miss is better than they are." I mean, yeah, probably so. If you just go strictly off talent, yeah, Georgia Tech might not even be in the top 25. But the thing is like you're not going off talent. You're going off how the teams play. You don't think that Virginia Tech's coach is smart enough to keep Ole Miss's offense off the field, which is exactly what kind of football they play, anyways. Like I think that would be a very
Georgia
dangerous
Tech.
match. Yeah, Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech, not Virginia Tech. Okay, just
Sorry. I seen Virginia Tech on my list too. I kind of had them as like one of my first teams that I would put out of the top 15. But yes, Georgia Tech. I feel like, and you can correct me if you don't think this is the same way, Mason. I feel like that would be a very scary matchup for Ole Miss in the first week of the college football playoffs. I mean, I wouldn't
yeah,
if I was.
they would have trouble stopping Haynes King. I think.
That's what I mean, and they run that type of offense that's going to keep Trinidad Shameless off the field. That's going to keep a team that doesn't have a good run defense. It's going to give them problems. That's why I have them ranked above Ole Miss. So Ole Miss would be 8 for me, and then you get down into this place to where, like, yes, Miami's a really good team, but are they just doing what Miami did last year?
Mm-hmm.
Really? I mean, this is exactly what Miami did last year. So going from 8, I would probably have Notre Dame at 9. Um, I would probably have Notre Dame at 9, Texas Tech at 10, just because of their talent composite. And they've been blowing teams out. And I know they're in the Big 12. They do have a loss. I understand that. But I just feel like they're going to cause noise in the playoffs. And they're still on that verge. We're doing a top 15, but you only get 12 teams in. I would have Texas Tech. Yeah, I would have Texas Tech at 10. Probably, probably Miami at 11, Vanderbilt at 12. Um, I don't. Yeah, yeah. I don't. Once you get to like 12 and 13, there's just like a bunch of teams that like, what do you do with them? You can do Tennessee. I wouldn't be mad if somebody moved Louisville up. I wouldn't be mad if somebody moved Michigan up. I could see some kind of crazy world where somebody put USC up there. Um, Oklahoma's an
I got Michigan at 23 myself.
yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't. I feel like
Yeah.
once you get from about 12 down, I could see you making an argument to put a lot of teams 13 and down, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
that's where I kind of like.
I agree to an extent.
I mean, I guess I would put Virginia in there. I would put Virginia at 13, um, Tennessee at 14, and then honestly, probably Cincinnati at 15. I really like what Cincinnati's doing. Honestly, they had a loss early to Nebraska, but it wasn't a bad loss. They played a good game against Nebraska. But that would probably be my top 15. I know I was kind of jumping all over the place, but it's because after that top probably 7 or 8, I really start like having internal arguments with myself.
Um, and I guess so. I kind of prefaced mine by saying that I went with who I kind of project to win leagues, who I just like right now. I'm going off vibes. I'm also just
Yeah.
going off personal opinion and projecting things a little bit. My number one team in the country right now is Alabama. I think Alabama, the best team in the SEC at least. Number two, I have Ohio State. Um, like we've talked about, Ohio State's defense has been dominant so far. Their offense is they aren't able to really run the ball, but they haven't cost themselves anything either. Number three, I do have Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M's defense is kind of a worry, especially against.
Hmm.
It's a matchup thing to me. Um, Against Garrett Nussmeier, they looked fine. Against Taylor Green, they looked terrible. So
Hmm.
I think that's a matchup kind of ordeal with their defense. I got Indiana at four. Just kind of because I project them to lose to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. Obviously, if they beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, that flips.
Yeah.
Um, at five, I have Georgia. Um, I mean, Georgia, they've just kept doing what they do. I mean, they're just plugging along. They have had some bad. I mean, they had a questionable game against Auburn, but they kind of turned it around and they beat a good team in Ole Miss, in my opinion. Um, I got Ole Miss at six. I think your one loss being on the road at Georgia, can't no one fault you for that. I think that's a tough place to play, and I mean, it's just a that's not a bad loss. At
Hey
seven, I have
Mason, can
Oregon.
I
Mm-hmm.
ask you something about Ole Miss?
Yep.
If I ask you this, and I've asked you this before, I just think it's funny. If what's his name? Uh, damn it, fuck. I'm about to say what's okay. Here we go. I got you. If John Mateer would have never transferred to Oklahoma, would Ole Miss have two losses?
I'm gonna say if he never hurts his thumb, maybe.
But if he never transferred, so if he never transferred to Oklahoma, in turn, where would John Mateer be at school right now?
Oh, Washington State, yeah,
Yeah, and that game was close.
yeah,
I mean,
very
it's just
well.
thought. It's very rage bait. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
doing that to one person, but I was thinking about that the other day. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I was trying to get you to say that so that we could set it up for that.
Yeah,
At seven, I have Oregon. Not because I think Oregon's necessarily bad. I just don't know if I can justify putting them above Ole Miss or Georgia, who I think have better quality wins to this point.
yeah,
Number eight, I have Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech has won the games they're supposed to win. They did have a couple of not stinkers, I would say, but just where they looked vulnerable. At number nine, I have Vanderbilt. Um, Vanderbilt has quality wins too. Their one loss to me is to my number one team in the country on the road. Diego Pavia didn't play great, um, but I think that they're in a very, very weird position going forward, and I'll explain why here in a second. At number 10, I have Miami. I think the Hurricanes are a quality team, but Mario Cristobal, historically, through his whole career at Miami, has choked this thing away. I'm not ready to anoint them yet. At number 11, I got Texas Tech. That's off the strength of their talent. That's what I'm ranking them. It's not off. I mean, they've beat some quality teams within the Big 12, but it's off the strength of their talent, and the fact that their one loss wasn't to a bad team. I mean, it
yeah,
wasn't a bad loss. At 12, I have Tennessee. What worries me about Tennessee is their defense is atrocious. They can't stop
yep,
anything. What I love about Tennessee is moving forward throughout their schedule, they play teams that don't have great pass defenses. Teams that want you, or okay, and the reason this was kind of what I was getting into with Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's defense has not been good against the pass. Tennessee's like 13th in the country against or with explosive plays in the pass game. I think going forward, that's really bad matchup, and I think Tennessee can play their way into this playoff. I like them at 12. 13, I got BYU undefeated. Everything ahead of them. Everything's ahead of
yep,
BYU right now. I like BYU in that spot. 14, I have Notre Dame. Um, they do have a big win to me against USC. Um,
hmm,
but where I ranked them, I can't justify ranking Notre Dame above a undefeated BYU. Tennessee, they lost to Georgia and Alabama, and Miami, who Miami beat Notre Dame. So I can't justify putting Notre Dame very much higher than that. I got Louisville at 15. And this is kind of what I was going into with Vanderbilt too. Vanderbilt plays Texas. Okay, so does this set Texas up? Maybe. I mean, we're gonna get into that game, into the weeds of it. I got Texas at 18 right now. Where would you value a Texas win in this spot? I mean,
I mean, I don't. It's hard to say because, like, who is Texas beating? Really?
they haven't beaten anyone.
They did beat Oklahoma. I'll give them that.
Oh
But
yeah,
like,
they beat Oklahoma.
if you're gonna take into account John Mateer's not the same as what he was, and really, if you look at John Mateer's stats before he had the thumb injury, it wasn't like he was just lighting the world on fire. He was just doing stuff that quarterbacks this year weren't doing. Like he
And
was
he was
having.
also playing inferior talent.
Yes, so it's like, how good is Oklahoma? And that's where I come into this whole aspect of like, when you have ranked teams and you rank all these teams so high and they start playing each other, is it really truthfully like they're cannibalizing each other, or is it like, no, they were just kind of inflated and they're really not that good, so those rankings don't really mean anything anymore? Just like the
Well, and
the
to kind of put that
LSU
into
win.
perspective, what was that? Sorry.
No, you're good. Just like the LSU win over Clemson. That's not a big win anymore. Just like the Vanderbilt win over LSU or the Ole Miss win over LSU or all these teams that beat LSU, like in the moment, yes, it was big, but like it's not a ranked win anymore. So you can't count that as like a ranked win, and they like you just can't count that like that, if that makes sense. Just like the Penn State game. This was supposed to be a big week in college football for me, especially. Penn State, probably a top five team. Hopefully they beat Oregon coming into the shoe. Like could be a 1 versus 2 matchup. No, now they're not ranked. So Oregon beating Penn State like they did, it doesn't really matter. All these teams that beat unranked teams now, I don't care. Like it doesn't matter to me.
So okay, so since you say that, I'm gonna ask you this question,
Mhm.
and I'm not trying to argue with you, but
No, ask away.
who has Ohio State beat then?
No,
Is like
listen.
why you rank them number one?
The reason I ranked them number 1 is because, first of all, their defense is doing something to the clip that we haven't seen since 2021 Georgia. And don't hit me with the, oh, well, 2021 Georgia played tougher teams. No, we all sat here and talked about how 2021 Georgia's record or their schedule was absolutely the easiest one in the SEC. They're doing
Mm-hmm.
something at a clip that nobody else is doing on the defensive side of the ball. Julian Sand has the highest passer completion rate in the country. Deep balls, short balls, intermediate balls, under pressure, under blitz, base defense, highest completion percentage. Yes, they do struggle running the ball, but actually Alabama struggles running the ball more than Ohio State. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like they're not really doing anything. And then you throw into the account, like, okay, they're running less plays on offense and less plays on defense. Ryan Day seen how much it affected his team when you had 3 offensive linemen go out in the run of the playoffs. So if he's coaching like I think he is to make it to where the season is shorter by the game, then that's why I have them number 1. They've covered every spread they were supposed to. I'm not faulting them for teams that they've played, but if you do play inferior opponents, you should beat them by substantial margins. Like you can't
And
go
I
out and
agree.
say,
I was
yeah,
just seeing where your head was on that, like, because
but
I have them at 2, so I'm not low
yeah,
on them by any
yeah, yeah,
stretch.
yeah,
But going forward, I will be interested to see how the committee values Ohio State's schedule and where they get ranked because. I mean, last year you saw Oregon get ranked 1. Oregon kind of had a little bit of a gauntlet. I mean, including that conference
yes,
championship game into their thing. Ohio State doesn't have the benefit of that gauntlet. So you
no,
might see a one loss conference champion jump them in the rankings. And honestly, if it's going off the playoff bracket that we had last year, that'll benefit whoever doesn't wind up being number one. Um, but just to kind of finish out, I know I don't remember how deep I went into that.
I think you
I
were
have a
like
bunch of
15.
teams here on the brink. I have USC at 20. I have Oklahoma
Yeah,
at 19. I have Michigan at 23. I still think Michigan can play their way forward. I just think
yep,
it's a situation where, like I said, I can't rank Michigan over Oklahoma. I can't rank them over USC. I like Michigan. I've been high on Michigan since June.
yeah,
It's hard for me. It's hard, especially with head to heads. It's hard for me to do that. Now that doesn't mean that I would put Florida State at one. Just so anyone that heard me put Alabama at one, and I'm trying to justify this.
yeah.
I think teams are completely different from when they played, but I think that was probably the best version of Oklahoma we're going to see, and I don't think Michigan's gotten better either. I don't. I just
Yeah, I mean, no, and that's what I think people lose the whole track of. Or go ahead and finish your top 25 because I'm going to go on a rant, and it's not. Yeah,
that's it pretty much. But like, and this is why I say this is because I've been seeing a lot of Dave Portnoy, obviously, and I
yeah,
used to love Dave Portnoy. Right, used to think he was so
yeah.
funny, so good for college football, and I still think those things to an extent. He must be on like lithium. His brain is turning into jello. You're telling me he said on live television that Michigan would win the SEC, buddy. You can have conference bias. That's fine. Let's not get into la land here. Like
Uh,
Michigan can't beat
no,
Oklahoma. You know,
no,
like
and
Iowa
yeah,
could not win the SEC, and that's okay.
yeah. I don't,
I don't
yeah,
think I don't I genuinely don't think Missouri could win the Big Ten. I don't know why. Like, oh, that's just such a terrible hill to die on.
yeah, I get, like, obviously, I'm an Ohio State homer through and through. I love Ohio State. I'll argue them to the death. I would say I try my hardest not to be an SEC or a Big Ten homer. It's just hard when I'm in SEC country, and that's what I hear a lot of because we're in Arkansas. Arkansas is not the best program, so a lot of fans of you know programs that haven't accomplished much in the last 10 to 15 years. That's what a lot of them jump to is, oh well, the SEC this or the SEC that or this team or that team. For a long time it was, oh well, the SEC is just better than the Big Ten, not because we're deeper, but because we win national championships every year. It's like, okay, well now it's kind of flipped to where the SEC hasn't even been to a national championship in the last 2 years. Well, now it's flipping to where, well, we're just deeper. Okay, can you tell me why? Like Ohio, if you look at total defenses, um, the Big Ten has more total defense, like more. They have better total defenses as a whole in their
There's a
conference than.
caveat to that stat, though.
No, 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 no. Hang on. I know what you're going to say. Oh, because the offenses are bad. No, the
The Big
offenses are.
Ten does face worse offenses week to week, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing. The pace of the game moves quicker
I
in the
will
Big Ten because they
listen.
run the ball.
I'll pull it up. It's the exact same. That's where I
It's
come
not.
from.
It's not, and
It
that's okay. Because
okay.
there's like four of the top 10 offenses in the country are in the SEC.
Okay, is that because the defenses are so bad? Well, no, it's not.
Yeah, to an extent, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's what I'm
But the
looking for.
defense, but you can't
Yeah,
say that, and then whenever I say the on the flip side, be like, well, that's just not
yes.
true. You know what I'm saying?
No, I will come. If you want to take that argument, I'll take it. But you can't say the offenses are so good in the SEC because but the defenses are good too. No, defense in
Well,
the
no, I'm
SEC
just
is
saying, like,
total ass this
I do
year.
think both are true. Is what I'm saying. I think both are true. The
Yeah.
defenses are benefiting from worse offenses in the Big Ten, and the
Yep.
SEC is definitely benefiting offensively from worse defenses, for sure, without a
Yes.
doubt.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just think that there's too many people out there that, not you, but obviously, like if you're a fan of Arkansas, you're gonna be biased to the SEC. That's where you've grown up your whole life. That's what you've done. Like that's just part of it. Just like me, like I haven't ever went up north, but I'm an Ohio State fan, so I'm gonna be partial to the conference that my team resides in. It's just like, yeah, you're not gonna go out and root for South Carolina every single game that they don't play against Arkansas because it does this, but like I just think there's a big loss in connection because we can all sit here and agree that football changed since NIL came into effect. We went in a whole total flip. Nick Saban retired, NIL came about, transfer portal. Like everybody that you talk to that really knows college football, they all say, yeah, dude, college football is completely different now. Okay, well, let's flip a new page. So now in the new page, the Big Ten is running shit. And they
I
are.
don't. Okay, we can't say that because
Why?
the talent in the SEC. I'm not talking about on a team to team basis, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about first round draft picks. The
Okay.
amount of 5 stars, the amount of blue chip is completely
Okay.
different in the SEC than it is in the Big Ten. That's okay. The amount of I think better coaches are generally in the SEC. That because the investment in football has been higher in this conference than it has been in any other conference. Now, I'm not saying that Ohio State doesn't have the same investment, the
Yeah.
same talent. Oregon has the same investment. Indiana, right now, I mean, they're all of a sudden they're one of the top investors in their team. But Maryland isn't doing that. And neither is Kentucky. But there's more Marylands than there is Kentucky's in the Big Ten than there is in the SEC. I don't think I don't think that discredits Ohio State, Oregon, whoever wins that conference or wins the national championship. That's my biggest issue with the argument. I don't think it discredits a national champion or the number one team in the country or the one seed just because they played Northwestern or Maryland or whoever. I don't think that discredits y'all at all.
No, and I think it's more of a thing to me that, like, I hear you about the draft picks. I totally agree. But for the longest time, and obviously I've only known you for 6 years, but I've been dealing with this for ever since I've been vocal about being an Ohio State fan.
Yeah.
It always seems it always seems like to me the goalpost moves. It's like for the
And
longest
it does to
it,
people that aren't
and
educated on anything.
yes,
You know
and
what
it
I'm
was
saying?
always, oh well, SEC just wins the national championship every year, so we're better. And it's like, okay, well then the Big Ten started winning it, and I say the Big Ten started winning it. Football has changed since NIL came into effect. I'm not saying in the last 10 years, yes, but I'm talking about since football has changed, probably 2 or 3 years ago. The Big Ten has ran the top of college football because you had no SEC teams. At one point, you had two Big Ten teams. Yeah, Washington hadn't came over yet, but if you're going to claim Texas, I'm going to claim Washington. So what
I
I'm
don't know
getting,
if anyone claims Texas in that. I mean, maybe people you do know. I haven't heard anyone claim Texas in that playoff as another SEC team. And I didn't think Texas deserved to be in anyway, but that was just
yeah,
me.
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't think
What
Alabama did either that year.
Yeah. So and then we started the Big Ten won 2 years in a row, and it's like, hey, we're kind of at the top of the conference. We're at the top of the country. Well, yeah, but we're just deeper. And it's like, well, yeah, y'all have more teams ranked, but look at total defense, total offense, like like all these things go into effect, and it's really not like y'all are that much better. It's just everybody ranks all your teams higher. So when Tennessee has two losses or LSU has two losses and they're at 15, but Washington has two losses, and one came against the number one team in the country and the next one came against the number 23 team in the country, and they're not even getting a ballot to vote on. Well, yeah, of course it's going to look better, but Washington should be voted just like LSU was voted, or this or that.
Look at who LSU lost to as well, though. They lost
Yeah,
to
and
Ole
I'm just
Miss.
pulling.
You
Yeah,
know, but like that's a great example though. But LSU versus Washington, I like that argument. I think those are
yeah,
two underwhelming teams. I don't think either one of them deserves to be ranked. LSU beat a shitty Clemson team and then
yep,
lost to Ole Miss, lost to Georgia,
yep,
or lost to Vanderbilt, and then lost to A&M. But those are all top 10 teams in my opinion.
yeah, and I don't. There's a lot. What I'm getting at is I feel like if you take all the rankings and just put them, hang on, I'll pull my shit back up, and you just put them in um and just change conferences because you have Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon, Iowa, Michigan, USC. That's where your two lost teams and one lost team stop. Well, we could just rank all them and just say they're good. They're all in the top 25. Well, no,
I
because
think
they have.
everyone's good that you just named except Iowa. I don't think Iowa's very good at all,
Yeah, but
personally.
what I'm getting at is like there for a while you have 10 SEC teams ranked. And it's like, well, yeah, but then when they start beating each other, like, are you gonna just say that every team's just good, but they're just beating each other? Like, you're gonna like, okay, for example, I'm just using this because it's like I watch their games and it's easy. And I know this team's good. I've talked to you about how this team's good. They just got unlucky, but like eventually, unluck is just you're not good anymore. Arkansas lost to Memphis, and
Mm-hmm.
then barely lost to Ole Miss, and barely lost to Texas A&M. So, like, what? When does it come to a fact that like, okay, Arkansas sucks, and Ole Miss and Texas A&M aren't very good because they can't even beat that team by more than a touchdown?
I mean, but I mean, you could say that for pretty much everyone except Ohio State. Everyone's had that problem except Ohio State this year.
Yes, and that's where I get to. You're like people claim, oh, well, this team's so good, but then they struggle with bad teams, but they at least win the game. And it's like, well, yeah, but that's still a struggle against a team you're not supposed to struggle with.
I don't know.
And I mean,
Let's move on before we'll
Mississippi
talk about this
State's,
all night. Let's get into the
yeah,
games because I do have dinner in the oven right now. Let's start off 11 or wait a sec. I'm doing this on my phone for the first time, so I'm having trouble
I
actually.
can. You have 11 o'clock. Vanderbilt goes to Texas.
Yeah, let's start there. Vanderbilt goes on to Texas right now. Texas is favored by 3.5. Arch Manning is not playing in this game. I think that's very important. Texas can't run the ball. Vanderbilt can stop the ball. Can Vanderbilt's pass defense hold up? And can they keep Texas's front seven off of Diego Pavia? Those are the biggest questions going into this game. I'm riding with Texas. What about you, Justin?
Yep, Texas all the way. I think a guy that we probably listen to a lot and kind of model ourselves around and like and probably take little things from his show and put it in our show, not meaning to because we watch him all the time. Josh Pate said it perfectly. Like there's something about a backup quarterback being in a big spot like this. He's at home. Sark is probably going to call an easier game because it is easier. I could see the backup quarterback. I mean, he's a veteran guy. He's a transfer. He came in as a transfer. I think Texas's defense is too good, and Vanderbilt's defense is not very good. And I feel like Texas has athletes on the defensive side of the ball, and it's just going to cause problems for Vanderbilt. I'm not going to say Texas is going to run away with it, but I could see them winning by a touchdown.
Yeah, I think this is a very hiccup spot for Vanderbilt. Right now they're
Mm-hmm.
America's sweetheart, 7-1. They're firmly in the playoff as I have it as well. As long as so does the AP. I have Vanderbilt comfortably in as of right now if the season ended today.
Yeah,
Um, I think this one's going to make it hairy, and I think this is setting up for a scary night in Knoxville, Tennessee at the end of the year. Let's move
that's
on
what
to the
I'm waiting
next one
for.
here. Penn State goes on the road to Ohio State. I don't think this is necessarily a close game, but this is a talented Penn State team
Yep.
still. Um, let's just imagine a world where Ohio State struggles. Why do they struggle?
I think it comes down to Ohio State has shown they struggle to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Penn State is talented enough on the front D line, or stars wise, they're talented enough on the front D line. Their linebackers are pretty good. Jim Knowles should drop 8 and just make them run the ball. That's
Mm-hmm.
where you make it close if you're Penn State. And then control time of possession. Not let Ohio State get the ball. I think
How do
that's
you
going to
feel
be
about the point spread in this game? 19 and a
okay.
half Ohio State's way.
Okay, so this is really hard for me because I don't want to get ahead of myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like it's hard for me to get up for this game, so I'm worried that the players are going to have a tough time getting up for this game. Mason, if you want me to be honest, I think this game could get sexual fast. I really do. Like, I truly believe that because the way Jim Knowles left, I think a lot of the players that came back are going to kind of have a grudge against him. I think Ryan Day is going to have a grudge against him. I think Ryan Day is coaching loose because he knows that, like, they're okay. I think it could be like 35-0 at half. Like I'm talking like bad. I don't even think. I don't think Penn State's going to have more than 100 yards rushing. Like I think it could get that bad, honestly. And I wanted this to be a good game. I don't want it to be that way. But I just feel like Ohio State is that juggernaut type team. We're going through offensive line battle. We're kind of seeing what guard would be better, but I think it could get really bad. I don't see them stopping us on offense, and I don't see them really being able to move the ball on defense. Or sorry, I don't see them stopping our offense, and I don't see them being able to move the ball on offense either.
Yeah. Let's talk about another big game in the Big Ten, or this is the big game in the Big Ten. This is number 23 USC going on the road to Nebraska. I have Nebraska ranked in like that 25th spot in my own personal rankings. I have
Yeah.
USC sitting at 20. So I have I
Yep.
the way I projected this game, Jordan Maava, Lincoln Riley, they really need to win this game if they want any shot at making the playoff. But they're going to go on the road to a hostile Nebraska, 6:30. Matt Rule also really needs a win because this was supposed to be, year three Matt Rule. We haven't seen what we wanted to see from Patrick Mahomes Jr. We haven't seen what we wanted to see from their defense, really. Like, their defense has been kind of like the better part of it, but their offense has been so disappointing that their defense is left out there to dry sometimes. I'm riding with USC in this game. How do you feel, Justin?
That's kind of the same way. I mean, this is what people miss when they just watch games. This game could very well be this whoever wins this game might get into the playoffs. You're
Mm-hmm.
playing for a playoff spot here. And there's a lot of games that are like that like people don't even really like they don't notice because one team's not ranked or whatever. But I think USC is just too good, honestly. I mean, I know they're traveling across country, but it's a late game, so they'll be all right. Um, they're just too talented on offense, and I just don't really see. I know Nebraska's not bad on defense, but I just don't see them stopping Nebraska. Or I don't see Nebraska being able to just even hang with USC defensively. And
No,
I
and I think
think,
USC's defense has improved enough to give
yes, yeah, yeah.
Dylan Raiola problems in this game.
And I think Dylan Raiola is one of the biggest overrated, like almost as overrated as Arch Manning, really.
Let's talk about one more big game here before we really get into probably the biggest implications game of the night. Right here, Cincinnati travels to Utah to play the Utes. This one's a put up or shut up game for Cincinnati. They're going on the road at 9:15, going on the road to a hostile Rice Eccles Stadium. Right now the spread's sitting at 10.5 Utah's way. I like that spread for Utah. I think Utah they they got beat real bad at home against Texas Tech early in the season. I cannot remember who else they lost to.
Mm, I might be able to look real quick.
I can look super. Oh, they lost to BYU on the road in a rivalry game. Um,
About three
Utah,
points. Like, that's not a bad loss.
no. Utah is I think they're very sneaky. They just do all the things that you're supposed to do to win right. They don't kill themselves. In Cincinnati, I mean, I don't like I they haven't won any game to me that was just like, "Oh my god, they won that game." Like, they lost to Nebraska. They had a close one with Kansas. I thought that Iowa State win was going to be kind of a big deal. Iowa State's been disappointing since. Um, and then, I mean, they can't really help their schedule, I guess. I mean, but they beat Oklahoma State, and they kind of had another close one with Central Florida. I just don't think Cincinnati's as good as what the number by their name says they are. And I'm definitely riding with Utah on this one. What do you think?
I think Cincinnati might pull it out. I mean, I
You
know
think
they're going to
so?
have to travel a little bit, but I like Cincinnati, man. They got fight to them. It seems like they want to win. I mean, obviously everybody wants to win. It just seems like I don't know, man. For some reason, it just kind of seems like they want it a little bit more than most teams. It seems like they're kind of building at the right
Mm-hmm.
time. They did. It seems like they're about to get ready to peak. I'm not going to say they're going to win the national championship. I could see them making a run in the Big 12 and trying to push a spot for the playoffs. Um, I think they squeak out a close one here, maybe by like 3 points, maybe less. But I think they're going to squeak one out personally.
And right now they're the number one team in the conference, so they can afford to lose this game and they can still make it. But if they lose this game, they have no chance at at-large bid. So this is a really big game for Cincinnati. Let's get into the biggest one of the night. I'm trying not to run through these too fast, but see how much time's left on my timer. I got about 10 minutes, but it'll be okay. Oklahoma goes on the road to Knoxville, Tennessee. This game right here, you want to talk about an elimination game? This is an elimination game. 3 losses this year. I don't feel like it gets you in. Both teams are sitting at 6-2. This game's at 6:30 on ABC. Right now, the spread's sitting at 2.5. The biggest stat to me, and I kind of took this a little bit from Josh Pate, but this is also just from my own eyes and my own just understanding of Oklahoma. John Mateer has not looked great since he's come back. He's looked less effective. Their run game has looked less effective. But if they can get the ball to their playmaker, Satania, and who's that other one that they got? It's kind of a big play guy. I can't remember.
Uh, yeah, don't get me lying. I'm so bad with names.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, they do have a couple of big play wide receivers, a pretty big play running back. Tennessee is one of the worst tackling teams in the country. Um, But on the flip side, Oklahoma's defense against Ole Miss could not stop big plays. Now, Joey Aguilar cannot affect you on the ground like Trinidad Chambliss can, but Tennessee is like number 13, like I said earlier, in the country in big explosive plays. I like the Tennessee Volunteers to win this game, and I do think it'll be close, but I think I would take the Tennessee spread as well. I think they'll win it by a field goal or something. I don't think they'll win it by less than 2 points. What do you kind of think going into this one?
I, yeah, I mean, I don't.
I mean, these are your boys, dude. This you are high on Oklahoma. These are your boys.
I know
They gotta win this game.
I was high on both of them, but the thing is like John Mateer does not even look anywhere close to what he was.
Mm-hmm.
He
I agree.
doesn't. Like it looks like a totally different team. But I don't like Tennessee either. Like I don't. I think if it goes, I think if both teams score over 28 points, Tennessee wins. I think if they score under 28 points, I feel like Oklahoma wins.
I agree. And the biggest thing to me is, does Tennessee get on them early? Because if Tennessee gets on them early and Oklahoma has to play from behind, um, I mean, yeah, there's a world where Oklahoma can come back, especially as bad as Tennessee's defense has been. But I just don't like Oklahoma's chances in that situation. I think it's important for Oklahoma to slow this game down, keep Tennessee off the field, and they have to be able to get off the field on third down. They had a really bad inability to do that against Ole Miss. Oklahoma's defense, they have to return to form in this game. And John Mateer, I think, really has to kind of return to form as well and be able to affect you with his legs and with medium kind of off tilt, off script passes for Oklahoma to have
Hmm.
any chance in this game.
No,
Um,
I mean it. That's what I think. Like it's just so hard to predict because Oklahoma has not been what they were.
Yeah, and I agree. As far as other big games around the country, we can kind of just run through them real quick. I'm not going to get into a lot of these. Justin kind of picked this as a upset pick kind of last week. Georgia
Hmm.
and Florida playing the world's largest cocktail party in Jacksonville, Florida. Right now, that spreads at 7.5. I do like Georgia to win this game. I do think DJ Lagway could make it interesting. I think he could really tighten this game up. But I am going to ride with the Georgia Bulldogs. What about you, Justin?
I I mean, screw it. I've died on hills before. I don't care. I think Florida might upset them. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
Georgia's defense is not that good. They're not like they are. They're not a bad defense. I have it pulled up right here. They are the 25th, the 25th best defense in the country. So it's not like they're a top 10, top five, number one defense. And their offense isn't that good either. I can pull up their total offense too. Where's it at? And I feel like Texas is that team that me and you have kind of talked about of being like
Florida.
that upset dark or Florida. Yeah, sorry. Florida being that type of team that's like the upset darling. Like they're a talented team. It's exactly what they did last year. It seems like Miami and Florida and pretty much Florida State are the exact same teams that they were last year, minus the win over Alabama for Florida State in some crazy fashion. Um, like it seems like those teams, and like I said, Georgia has the 37th ranked offense. So it's not like Georgia's going to run up and down the field and move the ball on them. And I feel like DJ Langley has one more game in him, like the Texas game, where you're like, this is what we're talking about. This is what we needed all year long, and we would be undefeated. That's kind of where I'm at on the game. That's why I think it could be an upset.
One last question before we kind of shut this down. Who do you have as the number one most likely to get that at-large bid for the G5?
Um, who are who's the top? I know. Let me see. Let me look at their schedule because you really have to like. It's not just oh yeah they're undefeated right now. No, you got to look and make sure that they don't play like some crazy tough schedule at the end of the season.
Well, the
I
reason
would
why
probably
I'm bringing this up is because previous to like if you'd asked me this yesterday, right? I
yeah.
would have told you it's Tulane. Okay, and this is
Oh
why I'm
yeah.
bringing this up.
Yeah.
Tulane's down 6-31 right now in the first half to UTSA.
Yeah. Then you got to go. I like Memphis
I say Memphis too. Now, I mean, Tulane could come back and win that game,
because who did
but
Memphis lose to?
they lost to UAB.
Ugh. But was it close at
Yeah,
least?
it was close. It wasn't like a blowout, I don't think.
And was it on the road?
I can't remember.
Oh, because they beat USF, which is a good win
Beat
for them,
Arkansas.
and they beat Arkansas. And with these Power Five teams, you got to look. They're going to use they're going to say, well, they beat Arkansas by the same margin that Ole Miss and Texas A&M beat them by. So that's why they need to make it. I like Memphis too. I think they could. I don't think they're going to win it, but I think they could make some noise.
Do you think they realistically could win a game? Now, obviously, that depends on matchup, but
Yeah,
I don't know. Okay, the indictment on Arkansas for me is that they'll play anyone within 3 points.
yeah.
But
I
I
could
mean,
see.
could you see Memphis realistically winning a game in the playoff?
I mean, matchup wise, yeah, I could. I mean, it's just like if I told you right now, if I like, let's just say, okay, I mean, we can take 90% of America. If I gave this game to 90% of America, Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, neutral site, who do you have? Who do you think 90% of people are going to pick?
Ole Miss. The
Probably Ole
sports books would
Miss.
favor Ole Miss. Yeah.
Yeah, but me personally, and maybe you would all like. Okay, what line would it take for you to fire Georgia Tech in the points? Like you think Georgia Tech covers that spread?
4.5 maybe.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's a lot closer game than what people expect, just because matchup wise, against they match up well against Ole Miss. Now you could take Georgia Tech and put them up against
Texas A&M. I think
Texas,
they probably get
Texas A,
killed.
Texas A&M, or even Texas, because Texas's defense is good enough to give Georgia Tech problems. I'm not saying they're going to win. I still think Georgia Tech would beat Texas. I'm just saying Ole Miss versus Georgia
I
Tech.
kind of like that. I kind of like that matchup though. That would be an interesting game.
It would be. I think Georgia Tech would have a closer game with Ole Miss than Georgia Tech would have with Texas or Oklahoma, just because of stylistically how they do things.
Yeah, and we'll get to see Georgia Tech in a very interesting matchup with Georgia later
I
in the
think
year. But
they
that's
beat
all I got,
Georgia at the
guys.
end of the year.
Yeah, that's all I got, guys. Like I said, I got to go take dinner out in about 51 seconds. But Justin, if you
No,
want to
you're good.
close us out here, say all our piece. Make sure you like and subscribe, all that junk.
Yeah, I got you, buddy. All right, y'all be careful. Me and Mason will be back at 8:30 ish on Sunday. 8:30 is kind of rough for us to wake up. That, like I say every week, there's big games on every week. You just got to go find them. Just like what Mason said today. Don't just look for ranked matchup. Look for all games. If there's a good game on, turn on and watch. It might surprise you. Like, subscribe. We're on YouTube, obviously, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all those things. We're going to try to get better on YouTube. That's all I got. Y'all be careful.